the madhouse.
Don't mess it up like last week.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That went everywhere. Oh,
Evan fumbled the bag.
cheers.
To episode 45.
To episode 45.
This is called Big Wave Golden Ale by Kona.
How is it?
It's alright, but it's the coolest can of all time.
What would you rate it out of 10?
Brent's not a notable beer guy, so that must be a good.
Well, that's okay. That's why I'm asking for his opinion. And most comparable beer to it. That's common.
It's like if you try to make an IPA with a Corona Light.
Ooh.
So it's like stronger hops, but it's still like light.
It's a hoppy.
There's some hops in it.
I might have water with
I have
veggie
go
powder.
ahead. What else?
It's gross.
Sweet,
It's
man.
Super gross.
Nectar of the Gods, Bush Light.
Nectar.
Do you have one of those digital camo cans with the orange rims?
Yep. Fall edition. Oh, I just lost you guys. I'm so lost right now. Yep, it's right here.
Yeah, that's really crisp, really clean.
So how's
Okay.
your life, Evan? How's your week?
Today is Monday, November 8th, 2021, 6:02 p.m. And welcome to the 8-1 Club, boys.
Oh.
Come on in.
Feels bad.
The water's
Worry
warm.
about your own team.
I haven't peed in the pool yet, but the water is warm. Welcome.
I have no comment.
Pure domination by Purdue. Good for them, you know.
You know what? Shout out to that program.
Let's put Purdue in the national conversation. They're so good.
Let's just say one thing. When you're inside that stadium, foreshadowing, they blow their horn through their speakers nonstop.
Really?
Just every big play, like they're on defense or anything good happens, it is just a train horn in your ear.
Evan, I heard on the very first third down that we were watching the game, I heard it come through the background. I go, I'm asking Evan about that because that has to be like one of the more annoying and also intimidating third down things.
It was.
Grant said it was awesome.
Now that I think about it more often, it beyond annoying. Like I would rather hear like the Vikings score, just them blowing the horn nonstop over just a train noise just in the back of your head.
You think about it, it's not something you hear a lot. Then only they can do it because they're the Boilermakers, really. I guess the Houston Astros about it.
Yeah.
What's an Astro?
I don't know, but they have the train
Is it an
tracks.
Astro some like space?
Star?
Yeah. What does that have to do with trains?
Well, they have trains in their ballpark and they blow the train horn when they hit bombs. I'm not saying they deserve to do it. I'm just saying they do.
It doesn't make sense why they would.
Yeah. So outside of the Evans trip, spoiler alert, Evan went to Ross 8 Stadium.
Gross.
I tried to get a picture for the Twitter account, and I was in there a little bit late, was doing a little pre-gaming, and I tried to get one to load, and it just was not going through, and I gave up.
West Lafayette strikes me as a town that is bottom 5% in cell phone service in the country.
I guess everybody else around me, everything else was loading besides Twitter. People were sending off Snapchats left and right, and at one point I just gave up because we're down 21-7. So I was like, do I really need to send this tweet out right now? No.
Yeah, you gotta feel the moment. Right, good call. Really good professional call there. Alex, how was your week?
I went to work all week, per usual. Sucks. Work sucks.
Somebody has to.
This weekend, Saturday, sucked. Most of it sucked because we lost. And then I went to the bar Saturday night, basically a basement frat party bar. And it was pretty fun. It was pretty enjoyable. And it was funny to watch our friends in that bar. But I'm not going to name his name because I know he listens to the show and I don't think he'd want us to talk about his state that night.
I can talk more about the bar in my recap without other observations I noticed from it. One, out of the way, got a haircut. First time I think Evan's seen it. It's pretty short. Real short, I'd say, for me. Kind of weird timing because it's cold out now. Really felt the first, crisp air right through my head. Two, thanks to Alex, I tried HelloFresh meal service for the first time
Not a free ad.
in my life. And good point, Alex. After trying their service, I don't want to discourage them from becoming advertisers, but I'll tell them this. I will not be the one reading the ad reads. I'm going to leave that to Alex. I just didn't enjoy it. Call me not a chef. Call me a simpleton. I just didn't enjoy the process it all took. Too many directions. Just give me the ingredients and let me go to work. Let me freestyle. Don't put me in a box like Jim Harbaugh puts his quarterbacks. Let me cook like Matt Corral at Ole Miss. I just didn't enjoy it. What, Alex? You're gonna die on the HelloFresh hill?
No, I can say that safely. Evan would probably enjoy it. He likes the whole cooking process and cooking. You're so impatient that you probably just wanted to grab all the stuff and just hopefully it magically made itself in front of you. So you're not a good person.
You're not wrong.
To know if it's good or not. You're actually probably the worst person to try.
The other problem with it is I like to make a bunch of things in bulk so I don't have to cook a lot, like maybe once or twice a week, and then I can mix and match things to spice up different meals. With the HelloFresh, I felt stuck. Like, to be honest with you guys, I made like a chicken fettuccine dish at like 10 a.m. today, and I've had it twice already. I'm going to eat the third serving of it tonight. It's just super boring. It's the same thing every day. I don't think I could do it.
Yeah, like I said, you're the worst person to try this. I just simply gave you the code.
No, I appreciate that. It was free groceries. I loved it.
Yeah. Evan, if you want a code, I can give you one. You can get 2 free meals.
Yeah, Hello codes.
Just need your email address.
Okay.
HelloFresh plug. Maybe we'll give that out as a like a little teaser if you listen to the podcast or retweets. A giveaway. We'll give away HelloFresh codes from Alex.
Okay. Not a free ad.
Friday, Saturday, drank way more than I wanted to.
Whoa.
Or anticipated.
Legal adult.
Yeah, I think everyone knows. Well, I guess they don't, but yeah.
Congrats, 19.
You've been drinking on this podcast since day one. What are you talking about?
So Friday, super low loser moment, I would say, but I don't regret it at all because sometimes the boys just have to like play video games and veg out. So I got off work at like 8 p.m., which is weird on a Friday because you don't really feel energized to do anything really. You know, like when you get off work at 5 on a Friday, you got like that 3-hour window to kind of hype yourself up and veg out and get ready to drink. When you get done at 8, you're like, I don't really want to go anywhere. So when I want to veg out, I go right to my old faithful NCAA 14, Road to Glory. I'm a wide receiver at LSU, having a great season. The team's not doing hot, but I'm doing hot. I'm in the Heisman race as a freshman. Not a big deal. So I played one game, and I think that kind of inspired Alex. He's like, let me get in this action. So he creates a quarterback, and I'm like, I don't really want to go in my room and do nothing. I'm gonna watch him, but it's kind of, it's kind of boring sometimes to watch people play video games. So I'm like, I need to get myself involved. So essentially, I role played like I was the coach of the team / Alex's dad.
He basically made all my college decisions for me.
Yeah, I told him what schools were our college choices.
I hate where I ended up. I'd like to enter the transfer portal.
And I played this fun game where every time he's playing on Heisman. For those that know, every time he threw a pick, I had to take a shot.
I threw 6 in a game. Let's just cut to the chase.
Let's just say in week 2 of the high school football season, Alex threw 6 picks. So they quickly became sips and not shots. And we got pretty blitzed by the end of the night. We simulated enough through where Alex chose Nebraska as his school.
My fake video game dad chose Nebraska.
And let's just say they lied to our faces. They came in our living room and recruiting pick. Scott Frost came in our living room and promised us first string. And we showed up for its first day and we were third string and had a battle with the first string. So
I'm battling for the starting job this week to play in week 11.
Yeah. So that was Friday.
It's disappointing.
Didn't get hungover, which was huge. Credit to me. Went to Bob Evans Saturday morning. Alone. That's how Evan knows.
Alone?
He went by himself.
Come on. Somebody go out there with him.
I go, Alex, it was like 10:30. I'm like, do you want to go to Bob Evans? He's like, I don't really feel like leaving. I was like, all right, I'm going because I need it. Evan, I kid you not, you'll appreciate this. I pulled into Bob Evans at 10:57 a.m. I was eating my omelet at 11:10 a.m.
Cut that out, baby.
Unbelievable.
Great service.
2 waitresses.
2 waitresses came up to me and asked for my drink order so much so I had to turn the other one away. Like, I've already been helped, but I really appreciate you. Like, it's just unbelievable service there. Shout out to that Bob Evans. And then Saturday, took a midday nap as we do to wake up to find we have 2 friends coming over. I'm like, let's go. Let's have ourselves a day. I'll just say Ben and Ben. They know who they are. Watch some football. And then after the Purdue game, Alex was like, you know what? I'm hitting the bars whether you guys are coming or not.
It's more like hitting the bottle.
Hitting the bottle, and I'm going to the bars. It was a great – didn't want to go out at first, was having some stomach problems. But I was like, you know what? I'll go out. So we went out. It was super fun. This one chick, I think, threw up 3 different times, and like there was a trail of puke leading into the bar. So that was kind of scary.
Gross.
And then once you got in,
gross.
like Alex said, it was just kind of a glorified frat party that was a little bit more like preppy clientele, where like you can tell everyone's like out of college at least.
Yeah, but I think you would have enjoyed it.
It was fun. We just took turns buying the group 4 people drinks and just kept running it. Ben's hat got passed around like a bottle. You know, like I looked up and a different person had on his Michigan hat at different points in the night.
Yep.
And
I'll also say shout out Ben and Bench for just always having a new drink in my hand before I finish the one before that. They're just like always ready with another round. It's very impressive.
And our group as a whole for being good citizens and helping out a really drunk lady that was basically passed out on the sidewalk.
Good people.
And then last observation was it was one of the few times I can remember where I was actually out and awake looking at my phone when daylight savings time happened. So that was a riveting experience. Just sitting there, it's like, oh my gosh, guys, wait. It went back to 1 a.m. I'm going to be honest, it felt a little weird. It felt like I was stealing time or something. I was like,
Evan, you would be proud. We pulled a U and we shut down the bar. So
great. I forgot that. We still have that in our bag.
We still have it.
The lights came on. I go, it's that late.
It is weird when the lights in a bar come on. It is a very weird feeling. You see all these people you've been around for the last hour and a half, and you're like, oh.
What they really look like? 1:45 a.m.
It's pretty weird. Yeah, it's a good time.
Yep. I have one before Evans. I have one
Did you
brief.
just brain freeze? What
No,
happened?
I was like, in my mind, I was sorting out whether I should just go and get this weird thing out of the way that I did some research on because it's been on my brain all day, or I should just give it to Evan. I'll get this out of the way. Daylight savings. It sparked us because we were talking with our Uber driver on the way home.
Who thought this was hilarious?
How what's the deal with daylight savings? As we see now, with the latest change, now you wake up and it's really sunny and then it gets dark really fast. So daylight savings, guys, it's very brief. Don't go to sleep. Ben Franklin came up with it in 1784 as a joke. He's like, what if we invent this so we can use our candles less?
I thought it was for farmers.
The first idea of it was from 1784. Ben Franklin joked about, what if we change the clocks so we don't have to use our candles as much at night? Really dumb. And then Germany started this in 1916. Daylight savings for everyone. And then we adopted it in Michigan in 1967. Okay? And this is the reasoning for it. Reportedly to save energy and to allow people to enjoy more evening time in the summer. Which I guess is a nice benefit, but if I'm being honest, I don't need it to be sunny at 9:30 in the summer.
I do love it. Because you can golf.
And Alex, look at us. I think who's really behind daylight savings is golf. I think golf's behind it, and I think also movie theaters are behind it in the winter. Because don't you just want to go to the movie theater when it's dark out at 5 p.m.? You don't want to go do other activities. You just want to relax and sit inside and watch a movie. So I think the idea of daylight savings is okay overall. I just think the execution of it is very poor. I think if we shift the dates around, we could figure out a middle ground. And that's my rant on daylight savings. It's just been eating at me the last 2 days.
Evan, what'd you do this weekend?
Let's see, starting back on Wednesday, got a little action in.
Action?
Oh, yeah. You went to...
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
I went to the rivalry game.
The most important one this year.
Rivalry in the state.
Nah, I'd say most.
I mean, it feels like you're reverting back to a college freshman, the way you're just partying all the time, going to different colleges.
And I love it.
I've been to the 3 biggest rivalries in the state of Michigan for football season.
Yeah.
I've been to Michigan State, Michigan, went to Western Central, and then I went to Grand Valley State and Ferris State.
You are just getting
Adrian College and Hope is next.
I don't think so.
I guess so. I actually froze my butt off during the Central and Western game. It was a good experience. Waldo Stadium is nice on the inside. Underneath, it's all right. I think it's a better stadium than Ryan Field.
Agreed.
Tailgating scene was a little weird. Western kids just kind of just staying in a parking lot all together and they just drink.
Isn't that what
Grand Valley did the similar thing?
Isn't that what Michigan State does?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, but not all students are in the one exact location. I'm saying every single Western kid that is in the exact same location.
Got it. I kind of love that though.
Kind of cool. At least you know what you're doing every game day.
Yeah,
and you can guarantee the girl you're probably crushing on is going to be at that spot.
Sure. Thursday saw a basketball game. last exhibition game at the Breslin Center. Friday saw Eternals, great movies. No spoilers on this podcast.
No spoilers.
Tony Stark dies.
Well, he already died, so it's a spoiler from a different movie.
And then Saturday, had 4 hours of sleep, woke up, got in the Tessie, and drove to West Lafayette.
The mecca of the
Tailgating
football
scene
world.
was nice. We tailgated at the baseball and softball complex. Super nice complex. His baseball field, top of the notch, is better than Michigan State, so we need to improve that a little bit. But Purdue is winning tailgate. Anybody that wants to argue doesn't have the facts. Purdue, $50. Bring your RV in to this lot that we were tailgating in. You can tailgate and you can park your RV there Friday night and Saturday night.
So you could tailgate at night after the game.
Yes. You can tailgate the night before, wake up, boom, you're already tailgating.
That's pretty sweet. That's like a NASCAR race.
Yeah.
Michigan State's got to fix their tailgate.
But what if you don't have an RV though? Like, just take I guess it doesn't. It's
Don't
cool
go
if you-
up Friday.
It's cool if you have an RV.
I think if you're the RV team, I think it's a go-to move.
Mm-hmm. And you can't currently do that in East Lansing.
East Lansing's got a whole bunch of restrictions. East Lansing
Yeah,
tailgating
it
sucks.
just stinks.
Yeah, it's always
West Lafayette, nice campus. There is a golf course literally like right in the middle of campus, so like everything's kind of pushed off to the side.
weird.
We went to visit friend of the podcast, his cousin, and there's this tailgating hill. And when I say hill, I mean a massive hill that a bunch of people are tailgating on, and it is a workout to climb up this carrying beer. I wish I took a picture of it because me
hard to
saying it's a
describe.
massive hill just does
Yeah.
not do justice to how massive this hill was.
And then people are just tailgating at the top of the hill where it's flat. I'm hoping.
People are tailgating on the side of the hill.
No, like Mount Everest.
Yes, people are literally tailgating like this
But how-
the entire time. They're
So-
sitting.
Well, that's weird.
There was had to be like at least 1,000 cars on this hill.
Evan, you need to start taking pictures.
Cars on it.
Pictures.
Yes, this place was massive. This is like a go-to spot for Purdue kids and Purdue tailgaters. We're on Blank Hill. I wish I remember the name of it.
What?
Yeah. Got in, hung out. It was cool. Then we went to the game. Lines were atrocious. I think they have like 4 gates to this entire stadium. I don't know if that's for a fact, but we
That
kind of
feels
just
right.
jumped in line and kind of cut everybody. Got to our seats, witnessed a domination, pure bloodbath.
Wouldn't go that far.
Then we left and we battled. Traffic was bad. And then we went out. We went to Harry's Chocolate Shop or something is the name of it. It's a famous bar. It's been open for over 90 years in West Lafayette. But it's not like a Michigan State bar where it's like a dance floor bar. It's literally just all the kids just go there and they hang out and socialize, and it was a quality time. It was a very nice bar.
Did you chat with people that you didn't know?
Yeah. Purdue, like kids, most of everybody that we talked to, super nice, super welcoming. We were standing in line. The line was ginormous, like every single university. And the dude just came up to us 3. Was like, "I'll pay you guys $40 if you let us stand here." Okay. Like, you could have just stood here. I'm not going to say anything to you.
Just a question, because I'm trying to the dynamic of that. Was it you guys still wearing your Michigan State stuff at this time?
No, we changed when we had to charge the Tessie.
That debunked my theory, because I thought after that massive win, they'd just be like super nice and feel bad for the Michigan State fans left in town.
It did feel bad towards the end of when we were at the bar. They had like the TVs on and like the college football preview show, or like I don't know, the highlight show came on, and they show the highlights of the Purdue Michigan State game, and everybody was just cheering and screaming their heads off. And you have a couple of the Purdue fans just flipping off the TV at Michigan State. Yeah. I turned to Drew and I was like, "Man, it feels bad."
Trying to fit in, so like they can't tell that we're the ones that don't belong.
Yes. Yeah.
Off the
Other than that, it
record.
was quality time, good time. The drive home kind of stunk. We made it last.
Did anybody?
I saw MMG at Harry's.
Really?
That's cool.
Yeah.
On the
I
record.
was sending, on the record, saw MG at Harry's. I was talking to one of our friends back in East Lansing, and he said, "Oh, you hanging out with MMG?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "Oh, I think he's at the same bar that you're at." And I was like, "Okay, I'll get a picture with him." Not even 5 minutes after I said that, he walks past me, took a picture of him. Didn't get a selfie with him. Should I have? Yes.
You just took a picture of him.
It's a bad picture though.
Is he like? Because I didn't know who he was until the season. I saw he's a huge Michigan State fan. Is he big enough on the internet that like people are coming up to him and he's got like a crowd around him at this bar?
Not really. He did like there was a girl like bugging him, like, "Hey, FaceTime my friend," and he just willingly did it.
That seems like the right level of fame. Like that's what we should aspire to be one day. We're like,
I mean, but when he's in the stadium, based off of his videos and his stories, when he's inside the stadium, it's just nonstop pictures. Everybody wants to come up to his picture when he's walking around the concourse.
It's just like he plays Madden, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, MMG stands for Madden Mobile God. That's how we got famous when Madden Mobile was big time.
Oh my god! Remember?
Yeah.
Madden Mobile Sweat.
What a flashback!
He was a kicker at Clarkston. Stand up.
Oh wow! All right. Well, so there's the scene of Ross A taking you into it. Oh, Evan, did you guys take Highway I-69? Is that the highway you guys took?
Oh, yes. But West Lafayette, there's no good way to get there and back. You're only on like a major highway for a little bit, and you get off, and it's just like 55, 60 mile per hour the entire time.
Just I-69 is just a deep cut because I always took that for like 3.5 hours to Butler. Great highway.
Cool, man.
Yeah. So with the scene set, we will get into topic one, which is Michigan State at Purdue Recap. I would say in a somewhat slow week of college football, this game was actually the main storyline of the week. I will toss it up to you gentlemen to dive into this, as Evan called it, a bloodbath, whatever way you want to start.
It was pure domination by Purdue.
And they did exactly what you said. He actually threw it 54 times, Evan. You said 55, he threw it 54.
54 times, time of possession was all in favor of Purdue. You think somebody that threw the ball 55 times is not going to possess the ball? No, 35 minutes they control the ball.
Felt like that.
35 minutes, 35 to 24. They could not run the ball. They averaged 9 yards per pass. Their down efficiency, they were 11 for 18. It felt like a lot worse than that.
They were 8 for 9.
We got 7 stops, though. Huh?
They were 8 for 9 at one point in the game.
It felt like every third down and 5+ was automatic to move the chains.
Didn't even need to watch.
By like inches every time, too. They would just fall forward and get it.
It just... I mean, I have some deep talking points to talk about. I don't know where you were on start, Alex.
I mean, if you want to just dive in. I'm going to
start
the whole
with
breakdown, and I'll
first.
just give like 2 baby things.
I think positives would be good, Evan. I think that's what people need.
I said it earlier in our group chat. Number one positive thing coming from this, with how awful both sides of the ball played, there was still a 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. All you had to do was get one stop, and you have a chance to get the ball back to tie the game.
5 minutes to go.
I mean, you still have to drive down the field, score a touchdown, get a 2-point conversion. But we previously just did that the drive before. That play, I mean, dictated the game. No matter how bad we played, we were still down 8, 3rd and long. All you had to do was get one stop and just ran the hitch.
Yeah, you're right. Positive.
Kenneth Walker looked decent at times.
Still averaged 6 yards a carry.
Yes, he did have 136 yards, but 33 of them came on like the last drive when he busted one when they were in like prevent defense. So
still counts.
Sure.
Passing game.
Our run defense is still good.
Yeah.
Actually, it's decent, but Purdue just physically can't run the ball. But man, can they pass it?
Yeah.
You want to elaborate on it, or do you want me to just keep on going?
I want you to just get it all out.
I don't know if I can because it's a little bit of offense and defense. Okay, so positive things. Fumble in the first possession, they score a touchdown. Give them a shorter field.
This is not positive.
I'm just giving you like a snippet of like, you change a couple of these plays and like the outcome of the game potentially could change.
Okay.
A fumble first possession, they score. And then one of the worst how do I want to say this? It's not coaching, but one of the worst mishandled situations of the game was our field goal attempt, and there was less than 10 seconds left on the play clock. And everybody in our section that we were standing in was absolutely screaming their head off to call a timeout. To call a timeout, set your field goal unit up. Nope, run a guy on late, miss the field goal. He hooks it because he's rushed. Now, was he going to make it if we did call a timeout? No idea. Brand new kicker.
We're in a club.
So there's 3 points. There's 3 points off the board.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I worked on third down defense, we touched on a little bit, but just overall.
Bad.
Bad is just being bad.
Bad is being nice.
Is being nice.
Horrendous.
I think I have
dog water.
Almost insanity, because the way they were picking up third downs was almost identical to how the same scheme Michigan did against Michigan State. And I think that would probably be the most maddening thing. As a Michigan State fan, it's like, teams know the blueprint, and like the middle of the field is just so exposed, and was just open the whole entire game.
They hit a lot on the outside too. I mean, it wasn't.
They did, but early in the game, it was just like these late crossing routes, like zone beaters, and it was just like always there.
Yeah, I mean, the Michigan State defense is in significant trouble going forward unless something changes quickly. Evan?
Mel Tucker did say that we would change things.
Yeah. What's wrong with their scheme? Why do you hate it?
Well, why do I hate it?
You told me earlier.
Did you watch the full game? Yes, I do.
I just want you to tell the people.
To tell the people. Okay, so running the 4-2-5 defense, you're spread out a little bit more besides your 2 middle linebackers, and gives a little bit more alleys and windows in the closer down situations. Now, when you're not blitzing anybody and you play the soft prevent, it's not even prevent, it's just a soft, basic cloud coverage where you don't let anything deep. Now you're giving everything up underneath, and now you're making one-on-one tackles. I don't like that we didn't change something up like pregame, or from the eyes being in the stadium, it was hard to see if we did change things up. So when we were rushing, only 4, there was limited stunts. There was a little movement on the defensive line. There was limited rotations on the defensive line. It's just, like, if you're not getting pressure, you got to change something up. You got to move O'Connell off the ball. You got to rattle him a little bit, and I don't think we obviously won't be able to do that.
Can I give up?
We need a 95 QBR.
Peyton Thorne did have a
Purdue
92
record for most
QBR.
completions in the game.
Probably a Drew Brees record.
Like, at some point, I was screaming in the game, you have to man up and send a blitz that hopefully gets home. At some point, you have to do it and challenge them to throw the ball over your head. Now, there's multiple times they did get behind us, but it was in zone coverage and it was a busted coverage.
Which is inexcusable.
There was another time when Kimbrough was running man-to-man and he tripped and fell, and David Bell caught it.
Yep.
Yeah.
At some point, you're just going to have to challenge your corner saying, we're running man-to-man. It's on you. They're going to throw it deep. It's on you. Like, if you challenge O'Connell to make the perfect throw down the sideline and it happens, you tip your cap to him. But at some point, you're going to have to get off this soft cloud coverage and just let him pick you apart.
How much of the soft cloud coverage do we forgive, though, considering the amount of injuries that took place to the secondary and defense? Like, I think that did play a big factor of Hazelton thinking, I need to just go vanilla because Ron Williams is my emergency corner because he was working through something. Kimbrough's kind of been booty. Brantley, his shoulder was busted going into the game, and then he busted it in the game. It's like, at some point, I think he's just like, I don't know what to do. I don't trust these guys in man coverage. So I'm just going to do vanilla zone and hope we don't break in the red zone. And this was finally the game where it broke in the red zone more than it bended.
I did say in the first half we were just going to give up 6 for 6 in the red zone or something ridiculous, which we did. But
with the injuries, then you don't want the quarterback to hold on to the ball longer. Then I would dial up more blitzes.
yeah,
You have to put pressure on your defensive backs to make one-on-one tackles, but also it's hopefully that he has to get rid of the ball sooner.
I would have loved to just see a blitz or something.
This
Just
might
do something different.
This might madden you more, and I'm not sure if you got the full rewatch yet, Evan. Or I went back and looked at the highlights today. There was a 3rd and 5 where I think Hazleton was just trying to throw everything out there, and he rushed 2 players.
I did remember that.
So to be fair though, it was so unbelievable to watch everyone drop back, and it was 3rd and 5. They formed a line in the first down line. It actually should have worked. David Bell kind of pushed off a defensive back, caught it,
did push
and
off.
then Brantley missed a tackle, and he got the first down by an inch. But I was like, I looked at Alex and I go, they just rushed like 2 players. Like, I've never seen that. It was everyone, the defensive ends just slotted back to the first down line, and then the 2 D tackles rushed. But that goes to your point of where, like, I think their mentality was like, we're not blitzing, which looking back, it wouldn't have hurt to blitz because it already wasn't working to begin with.
Positive. Purdue statistically is a top 25 defense, and we put up almost 30. So, played decent on offense. I don't think the offense was bad.
Defense just got good this year.
I'm just telling you this.
Karfalis.
I don't think the offense played that bad.
I have some positives.
Personally.
I have a rebuttal to your offense not playing that bad.
I don't think they were terrible. I don't think they are the reason we lost.
I can give you 2 possessions where we lost this football game, and it relies on the offense. Okay, so now it is
minus the 40 points they gave up.
I'm with Evan.
Purdue just scored a 7-play, 70-yard drive in under 3 minutes.
Ew.
It's 28-21. 20-21, Purdue just took the lead. Okay, we go 3 and out. 3 plays, 3 yards, a minute and a half off the.
Yeah, we're hit or miss. We score a touchdown or we go 3 and out, and that's a big issue.
Next, what does Purdue do? 7 plays, 51 yards, minute and a half, kick a field goal. Now we're down 31-21. We're down 10. Our ensuing possession, 3 plays, 5 yards, minute 15.
Yeah.
In the guts. So at 9:31, and it has to be the 4th quarter.
Yes.
No, it's the 3rd quarter. In the 3rd. 9:31 in the 3rd. You go 3 plays. Don't do anything. 6:31 in the 3rd. You're down 10. Don't do anything. They kick another field goal. So you held them to
6.
3 field goals.
9.
You held them to 9 points. Because you punt, field goal.
6.
You moved 8 yards. And how much time did it elapse in the game clock?
Evan, to rally on this point, I did write down, I said the defense did, to their debacle, that was a defense, they did give the offense a chance in the second half with 3 straight field goal stops. I call them stops because in college football, like sometimes just giving up a field goal feels like a stop in itself. And honestly, it was like a deja vu. It felt like at some points to the Michigan game. The only difference was Michigan State didn't hit that big touchdown like you're talking about as they hit multiple times to come back in the Michigan game. It was like almost carbon copy where like, okay, down 16, score 2 point, score 2 point. And then it just, those drives where they hit the plays just didn't happen in this particular game.
And then you come back and we throw an interception on the goal line. First, I don't like the alignment if you're running an out route on the goal line. I don't like how far Jaden Reed is lined up. You need to either stack him or move him inside if you want to run an out route with him. And then it's 3rd and 4. And you know you're going for it on 4th. You know for 100% I'm going for it on 4th if I don't get this. And you run a pass play. Make it manageable. Make the defense guess on 4th down. Now it's 4th and 4. They know you're passing the ball.
Yeah. What do you think of Peyton Thorne?
I mean, obviously from like the video standpoint, he didn't look that great, but he scrambled. He had, I think, 47 rushing yards.
32 yards.
He had a QBR of 91, 20 for 30, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Didn't look bad, but I mean, you look at those 3 possessions, and you don't get any points out of it. In the thick of you're getting your next step done by Purdue.
Stinks too because before that, I mean, it was 21-7. Michigan State gets the miracle fumble to start the half. They get it tied up 21-21, and then just farts over and over.
I have Grant's
Like, if you're a quality team,
Can't go.
you don't have those lulls in the game.
No.
You do not have those lulls in the
Can't
game.
do that. You can't.
Especially when you're losing. Like, you have 2 possessions in a row. You should be calling, like, 9 of your best plays, and you're 6th place total.
Yep, it was really bad. You're absolutely right.
I have a stat that really stuck with me post-game that I saw on the interwebs that I think kind of illuminates the frustration with the lulls, is that Kenneth Walker had 6 carries in the second half of the football game. And
You can attribute that to being down,
but I don't think you can, because we just
Not
discussed that it was 21-21 in the middle of like the third quarter. And I just think at that point, and you saw against Michigan, they stuck to the run with Kenneth Walker, and it paid dividends for them. And you saw Kenneth Walker break several massive runs in this game. So if your offense without Jalen Naylor isn't explosive with the passing plays, you have the best running back in the country, a guy who should win the Heisman Trophy. Why don't you rely on him to get you 25 to 30 yards? The clock stops after first downs in college. It's not the NFL. Games take 4.5 hours. You're not out of time. It was just so confusing that he had 100 yards at halftime, and you gave him 6 touches of the ball because they don't use him in the pass game. It's
Did have a catch, I think.
unbelievable that they used him 6, and that's probably the most egregious thing, is that he got 6 carries in the second half. I'm fired up, and I'm not even a fan of the team. Like, what are you doing? He's a unicorn. He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Run a screenplay for him, like Purdue did all night to their running backs. Like, I don't understand.
Any closing thoughts, Evan?
Yeah, I do. So we sat behind a guy. We sat in front of a guy that needs to be kicked out of the Michigan State fan base because he's the fan that nobody wants to sit by, nobody wants to even be associated with.
Oof.
So I wrote down, get fans out of here. I don't want to be a part of them.
What are you going to do to prevent
the fans that are instantly talking about how good we were against Michigan, praising all the players, and then turn around and bash those same players? It's like, what did you just speak last week? Yes, we're allowed to ridicule them a little bit, but you're not calling out individual players.
Anyone's
Be better than that. This is a
out.
team effort, and if you want to call somebody out, how about you call out a coach?
Agreed. Coaches should get more of the blame than the players.
Yeah.
It's
They're grown men, at least.
It's their ship.
I hate it. I just hate ignorant fans, and I hate when I have to associate myself with them because it's a bad look, no matter what.
Hey, just be grateful you're not a Michigan fan, because I think there's more of them in that fan base.
They're all over in every fan base, Evan.
Coach, I'm not fast, but I do have a couple boxes. Some that'll make you guys feel better. You do have to chalk up some of this to, like, after watching this game, it might be biased. It might be just because he was facing Michigan State secondary. I think David Bell is probably the best receiver in the Big Ten, if not top 2, like with Olave, maybe Wilson. But he's unbelievable, and he showed it time and time again. So again, hat tip. And then also, like, I know it's Aiden O'Connell, but it was like after that first touchdown play he made where it looked like Eli Manning in the Super Bowl against the Patriots, that's just like going to be one of those days. Like, to their credit, that's an unbelievable play that he made, this like stay on his feet and then find David Bell in the back of the end zone, where it's like they did just make some plays that were unbelievable.
Credit Purdue. They executed. They played well.
That trick play they pulled out, that's like that gave me nightmares to when Michigan State would run their fullback crazy screens against Michigan. Like, they had plays that saved up for.
You watched that trick play.
It was unbelievable.
And I want to vomit on the performance of that defensive line during that play.
The whole thing was terrible.
Absolute vomit.
It was a sweet trick play. I would get confused, I'll be honest.
Like, I don't coach defensive line, and I never have. But in my mindset, defensive line, get your hands on and engage, and you have to feel the pressure where they're coming from. So it's 1-2 engage. Okay, you see the end around. Okay, then all of a sudden, the offensive line is just going to stop blocking you. Breaking news, nobody's that good that you just freely got by somebody. You got to feel the pressure, turn around, and chase. It's just, it's sickening.
I'll give Crouch credit. I watched it back. He was pointing to the side the screen was going the whole play, but he had to stay on the left in case they actually did do the reverse. I feel like he sniffed it out. He's like, hey, everybody, they're moving that way. I think the play's coming. Then no one did.
And then no one could make an angle.
If you want to vomit,
tackle
if you're not feeling good later and you want to vomit, just rewatch that play and just watch the defensive line.
No, I'm
Our
not
2 defensive tackles were running around like their head got cut off, like they were a chicken.
Okay,
It was putrid.
more vomit. We talked about it earlier, so we got off full circle. I told you guys that if that punt formation penalty bullshit continued, it was going to be bad. And it was
week.
And that's coaching, like Evan said, most likely blaming the adults on the team. That's 48. It turned into a 48-yard penalty, essentially.
How do we get a legal formation or movement?
You can't have a legal formation on punts.
Every single week, Evan. It's happened every week.
It wasn't. I would say it was illegal. I wouldn't say illegal formation.
Motion.
I'll say it was a legal motion because the guy that came in from the bottom of the TV screen and then was like in motion and then running down the field as a gunner, I'm pretty sure he was across the line or he was moving forward when the ball was kicked. If you're in motion, you can't gain ground on the line of scrimmage.
It's happened 9 times
did.
this year. I don't know if that's official, but I'm going to say it's happened 9 times.
I know it happened once because
It happened multiple times in the same game.
Nebraska?
Indiana happened
Rutgers.
twice.
Rutgers
happened twice. Unbelievable.
Another either communication, coaching, gaff that I wrote down that is just something like, we're in week 9? Week 10. It's something in week 10, you played 9 games, you just can't have it. On a 3rd and 10 with 7:23 in the third quarter, Michigan State is down 28-21 after one of the 3 and outs Evan talked about. 3rd and 10, and if you go back and find the play, Brantley is lined up against Bell, and Brantley just thinks he has help over the top and it's zone, and he has no help, and he just sits in the flats, and it's that bomb to Bell where he stops on the sideline and keeps going. It's like in week 10, you just can't have that blunder in the third quarter of a game, and like those plays are just ones that you'll look back and be like damn, like that. They'll figure it out. They'll see it on film, like okay, the safety can't do that, or Brantley has to know he has to go with them. It's just like. And also, it just hurts because that's the best player on the field in that moment, Bell, and like he just was wide open too many times. If he's mossing people, it's one thing, but when he's just wide open, it's another thing.
It's going to happen to true freshmen. It's going to happen.
Another thing to make you feel good as Michigan State fans, for good or for bad, a lot of times I have some voodoo weird stuff that happens on games. I don't know why. I was given this curse, this gift. But on the podcast, I had said I thought Michigan State would win by 3. And then as I thought about it more as the week went on.
You really going to showboat about how you told them?
No, I'm making Michigan State fans feel better because I'm not going to probably feel this way again about this. This is just a one-off occurrence where I told Alex midweek, I said, I really think Michigan State is going to lose this game. I think it's like a letdown spot. If you even want to feel grosser, I predicted that Kenneth Walker would fumble for the first time this year. And it was a close fumble. It was bang bang, but it did happen. But that transitions me, Evan. I need your thoughts on this. We do not have to argue about it because I've argued with Alex enough this week. Do you think that this was a letdown spot game for Michigan State and that factored into the result?
Fine letdown spot.
Letdown is when a team is coming off a really massive victory.
And they're not focused on their opponent.
And they're not as sharp in pregame. Maybe some rankings from the college football playoff come out and put them at 3rd, and they're reading the headlines and enjoying the pictures.
I would say yes, it was a letdown. I wouldn't say the rankings and like the Heisman talk got to them. I just think focus and execution, and you can see that on the field with the all the misplays that we just spoke about, time of possession, and I was going to say something. I've lost my train of thought. It's the lack of execution and all the mishaps that we have that you can't have if you're supposed to win or compete in the East. And so I think it was a letdown game because it played out to be that way. Now going in, did it feel like it was going to be a letdown game? No, because the way the team was talking, I don't feel like it was into it. But when you got into the game, it was 100% letdown to the way that we executed.
I don't think they overlooked Purdue. I think they did not execute, and they just played like absolute shit.
I don't think Mel Tucker overlooked Purdue. Mel Tucker's a grown man. I, deep in my heart, feel like if you would ask players on Wednesday on that team or Thursday, maybe they didn't think they'd roll over Purdue, but they're definitely still caught up in the Michigan game on social media. It's just, that's this 18 to 20-year-old kids, and rightfully so. They just had the biggest win of their season. It was a massive come-from-behind win. They're still stuck on that, and us as fans were still stuck on that. So I just feel like whether it's watching film 2 hours less during the week or going through walkthrough a step slow, I think it matters.
Yeah, I mean, it's just hard to know if that's all true. Did they really spend 2 hours watching videos instead of watching film? Did they really go slow in their? Mel Tucker and all the coaches said they had one of their best weeks of practice this whole season. So it's just one of those things.
Well, it didn't look like it.
It's just one of those things where maybe they got to the game and just things went wrong, and then they just compounded on each other and it got worse and worse and worse. I've seen it happen plenty of times in my life.
Maybe. Well, based on that, hold on to that. We'll briefly address that kind of dynamic there with the loss of Purdue later in the college football landscape / playoff rankings part of the show. Right now, we'll transition to the other Big Ten game of our state, Michigan at Indiana. Recap. The final there was Michigan 29, Indiana 7. My brief thoughts, I mean, this wasn't really a fun game to watch, as most Michigan games aren't. The only fun game that they've really had that was like enjoyable to watch football-wise was Michigan State this year. This would be known, I guess, this season as the Hassan Haskins game for him. He stepped up when he was needed. The second headline out of this game, as opposed to a 22-point win, is injuries. Blake Corum goes down. It comes out that it was not reported really that Donovan Edwards had been hurt, so he wasn't available for the Michigan State game. He only gets used like 1 or 2 times a game. But it really hurt this game because then the next running back on the depth chart is Tavier Dunlap, a freshman from Texas. I think he played like 3 snaps. So they just rode Hassan Haskins the whole game. Good thing he's durable enough to handle that workload. A.J. Henning got hurt in this game. Andrel Anthony got hurt in this game. Eric All did not play in this game. He's working through something. The offensive line seems to be healthy. The defense overall is healthy. But the offensive playmakers, there's 5 of them right there who are hurt. And it's very, you guys know how college, like, I'm sure Michigan State fans were surprised at the amount of injuries that people didn't know Coughlin wasn't kicking until the game. So, we're not going to know as Michigan fans who's healthy for Penn State most likely. And you're just going to have to hope they figure it out. The good positives, Ojabo and Hutchinson continue their dominance on defensive rushing. I think Ojabo's up to 8 sacks now. Hutchinson's at 6.5. They're both impacting the game in a variety of ways. Ojabo's really having himself a season, honestly. I looked today, he's like leading the Big Ten sacks, so good for him. X's and O's wise, watching it back, the power run scheme that we talked about against Michigan State is still really irking me. I don't like it. It's just so slow, and people are running into the pulling guards. And if you go back and watch this game, it's something to monitor the rest of the year. Haskins' 2 biggest runs of the day came off of just a standard outside zone play to the left, where they were not pulling anyone. They just all took steps to the left. And there was a massive hole for 35 yards for him. So I don't know what they're doing. I hope they watch film and they realize that that's probably their best bet going forward. Again, Cade, greater sign JJ. Again in this game, JJ did not really look that good. He rolled out right and threw a terrible pass over the middle and was lucky that it wasn't picked. Cade hit 1 good deep shot. It was good to see Cornelius Johnson back in the mix because they're going to need him as wide out with all the injuries I just talked about. But my last point and biggest point of this game is what is the Achilles heel, I would say, of this Michigan team is the red zone woes and how putrid their offense looks in the red zone. Moving from the 20 to the 20, Michigan offense is a crisp Bud Light on a fall tailgate morning. When they get to the red zone,
Bush Light.
When they get to the red zone, Bud Light for me. When they get to the red zone, it's like you reach underneath the seat of your car and it's a warm Miller Lite.
Oh.
And you're like, ugh, this is disgusting. Luke might be mad at me for that. I think Luke really loves Miller Lite.
Matt does.
That's a Pittsburgh thing, I think, but I'm not the biggest Miller Lite guy, and that's what the red zone offense looks like. And so I tried to look from what I could see of what's going wrong, because that's the biggest talk of the Michigan fan base. As much as we love seeing Jake Moody try out there, and as good as he is,
sweet kicker.
He has the most field goals attempted by far in the Big Ten, most made, but that's not what you want. You don't want the leading points guy on your team to be your kicker. It's not going to win you games. What I noticed is that in the red zone, everything just gets conservative and super repetitive. For one example that stood out to me in the game is the first time they got to the red zone, they just ran 2 outside zones at the exact same play to the left. The first time it got 4 yards, which is fine on first down. You run it again, the defense blitzes off the left end, they change their look, you don't change your play, and they tackle you for a loss. And then you're in 3rd and long, and everything shrinks, and it's not good. And then lastly, they need more play action passes, and if they're not doing that, more quick hitting passes on the edges, like screens, quick game, and overall, obviously, less penalties, because when you get a false start on a first down and 10 inside the 20, it doesn't help you. But I just think it's so mind-numbing for Michigan fans that you run the ball as much as you do, and you don't capitalize on that running with play-action passes in the red zone. I think it's just like a complete miss on their offense. They did, to their credit, the touchdown, one of the good touchdowns they scored was a play-action, like waggle play, got Cade on the move, and you found a tight end over the middle. I mean, it should be as simple as that. I don't think I've seen this team really run like a standard mesh route the whole year. Maybe working that in the red zone. You saw all the stick plays that Purdue ran to perfection with trips. And I just think Michigan needs to incorporate more of that in the red zone and stop just trying to bash their head against the wall with running the same conservative run plays over and over again. Because it will cost them. And most notably next week, if they're selling for field goals this much, it's not going to work out in their favor. But overall, it was basically the Northwestern game. Closer than it should have been in the first half. Credit to Indiana for showing some fight. I guess I mentioned, like, if anyone looks at this and goes, oh, Michigan's defense is good, but Donovan McCulley was playing, their third-string quarterback. He can't throw. I can throw a football better than Donovan McCulley. He's just really fast, way faster than me. So
Horrible.
That's why they only gave up 7 points.
He's a horrible quarterback.
I'll throw it up to you. Evan, I saw you put your finger up. Anything from this game?
Yes, I was trying to follow along as much as possible while I was in the bars.
Right.
But what did Jim Harbaugh promise JJ this year? I don't get it. I get that he's a better runner and he's a little bit more athletic and he might have a stronger arm, but Cade does not turn the ball over, and JJ is hurting this team with his playing style.
They're tiptoeing the fine line of the transfer portal.
I think that might be what it is.
But at some point, you're just going to have to look at it and be like, if he doesn't want to play here, he doesn't want to play here.
Yeah, I think just the pressure of he's the highest recruit he's ever had. He was a 5-star at IMG.
Well, the way that he was talking about Michigan before he got here, he seems like this is the best place on earth, so he shouldn't want to leave. You know,
the kid, to his credit, based on how bad last year was, he probably thought he was going to be the starter from day one. But it turns out Cade McNamara is more of a competitor than we thought. And I don't know. There's probably a promise or something to the family, like, hey, we're going to get your son involved. He's super talented. I guess I'll say this. They did do the thing that I suggested where if you're going to work him into the game, maybe when your offense is in a lull, just give him a full drive. And they did in the third quarter. It just stalled out for a field goal. So that's fine. If, Cade goes 3 and out 2 times in a row and things aren't looking good and he misses some throws, which he's been known to do, if that's when you need to keep this promise, let him play a whole drive. But then they did it too many times as well where they get to the red zone and then JJ's in at center. And it's like the whole flow of the offense is messed up. Everyone kind of knows you're running the ball because he really doesn't throw still that much. I don't know. It's a good point. I mean, it's like, what is going on? Why is it still happening? I thought the Michigan State game was our answer of who the quarterback is going to be 100% of the time. And it turns out that's not true. So, I don't know. But red zone's a real problem. It's a super big problem. You know how the red zone can be where, you have 1st and 10 from the 17 and it feels like you have a mile to go? If the biggest thing, honestly, is how they enter the end zone. If they're 1st and 10 inside the 7, they can just bully ball their way into the end zone. But if it's anything outside of the 7, it's like, oh, they got to get creative with their offense and they don't know how to do it. And it's going to be an automatic 35-yard field goal from Jake Moody. If this team didn't have Jake Moody, they probably would be Nebraska. If they had a bad kicker, you know how scary that is to think? If Michigan had a bad kicker, they wouldn't score points.
Yeah. Yeah. Good thing you do.
Yeah. So that's the Michigan-Indiana game.
Last thing, Tom Allen is the biggest keyword in America. I am going through the play-by-play. He punted from Michigan's 39-yard line on the first drive. The 39-yard line. You were so far across midfield that you could literally do anything. Now, granted, they did punt it and they got it down at the 3 and Michigan punted right after that. But still, the 39-yard line, if I'm on it's 3rd and 10, 39-yard line. I am running just something to get it 4th and manageable. But no, you punt on 4th and 10 from the 39-yard line.
Maybe it was because...
What an absolute joke.
Maybe it was because they had McCulley in. I don't know, but...
Oh, my God.
Yeah, because they were moving the ball in the first drive, too. I kind of forget they punted that close to the... that far inside the field. But he was doing the old Big Ten football buffet because the beginning was just...
Doing the Jim Tressel thing. Oh, we won field position, punted away now.
It was that for a while there, back and forth. That's why the game started out so slow. It was just that would pin back on their own 5.
I hope he gets fired.
Scott Frost survived.
Yeah, he did. He deserved to survive, though.
Yeah. I forget how many years he's been there, though, but then it says, how many times can you survive?
I think it's also look at how many colleges are going to open up and what's a sexier. I don't think Lincoln, Nebraska is a sexy poll right now.
Yeah, I don't think Nebraska wants to be in the coaching circus this offseason because it's going to be bananas.
You guys are still on Tom Allen?
Yeah, Evan thinks he should be fired.
I hope he does get fired because everybody was just like, "Oh, Tom Allen, look at what he did last year."
He
can't even beat he can't beat a 500 team.
No. And now, speaking of teams that are above 500, college football playoff, the landscape, our playoff rankings, which we'll be saying them before the show, but this will come out basically the same day as the show. Our rankings don't feel as cool now. I don't know if there's actual playoff rankings, but I think our rankings overall will be better. I do have one comment. You guys can get out any one nugget of what you're thinking as we're sitting here in week 10 of college football. I kind of spoiled it. I texted it to the group. My observation from this year of college football, which might sound dumb to people within the state and our podcast listeners, because our two teams, for their credit, have been very good in contention. It does feel like a boring year of college football, though, because of how there's no great quarterbacks in the sport this year. I would say everyone's just a bunch of good quarterbacks, a bunch of, names we thought would be good going in the year, but there's no iconic. I mean, the most iconic games were our two teams playing in Texas and Oklahoma.
Caleb Williams is pretty good.
He has things to prove. I'll push back on that. I think he's good.
At least he's athletic.
I'm choosing my words carefully. There's no great QBs in college football that I've seen this year. They're all good, and I think that's making it a boring year and confusing because I don't know what to think. We'll get to that.
I think this year's pretty exciting, so I'm way against you because there is one dominant team, but there's a lot of teams that have a chance, and I think that makes it exciting.
Yeah. I like good football games, though, and I feel like we're not getting those because of the lack of QB play.
I mean, I think there's been a lot of good games.
I think there's been two.
There's also 3 more weeks of the season, plus conference championship games, plus the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So there's still a lot of games.
There is. There's time. Enjoy it. Savor it while it's still here. Our rankings. Shall we get into them?
Yeah, you want me to rapid fire them?
Yeah, you can go first. You don't have to rapid fire them.
Georgia, number 1, best team in the country. 2, Alabama. 3 is going to be Oregon. 4, Ohio State. 5, Cincinnati. 6, Oklahoma.
You're the college football playoff committee or what? Dude?
If you guys want behind the scenes,
Alex I'm doing this on the spot.
Alex is looking at is looking at the AP poll and scrolling through and then just shuffling teams on how they did.
I've already written mine down. I came prepared to this podcast.
6,
I'm a
Oklahoma. 7, Michigan State. 8, Michigan. 9, Notre Dame. 10, Texas A&M.
You're missing a team at 10, but
I said 10, Texas A&M.
No, I know, but you're missing a more deserving team at 10, but that's okay.
Which is?
Well, we'll get to it. Evan, Evan, you or me?
I don't like Oklahoma State.
I don't care.
I'll riff off now. Okay, I'll go. 1, Georgia. Huge asterisk now. I have no idea what to do with the rest of the 4. This is such a crapshoot. You could make an argument against any of these teams. As much as I don't want to, after their terrible performance, I left Alabama at 2 just because they won a game by 6 that they probably could have lost at points. 3, Oregon. They survived Washington. 4, Ohio State. I wanted to bump them up.
Same as mine.
Wanted to bump them up, but Alabama, Oregon, Ohio State all looked kind of pedestrian this week. They all survived. Now, here we get a little bit more interesting. 5, Kings of the bye week, Oklahoma jumps to 5 because they're undefeated and Cincinnati should have lost or gone to overtime with Tulsa. But Cincinnati, don't feel too disrespected. You're at 6 still. I'd love to move you back, but I can't because I'm a big head-to-head guy. Now, hold on to your butts. 7, Notre Dame.
They jumped the Michigan schools?
Yep, because guess what?
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, guess what, guys? I'm a man of my word. And I didn't want to do this, but your stupid team did this to me. Notre Dame beat Purdue this year, so therefore I have to put Notre Dame ahead.
Oh, what a joke! Your rankings are now a joke, and I'm tuning out for the rest of it.
Michigan State's a joke for losing to Purdue. Right, I didn't want to do this.
Put Michigan in front of Michigan State.
Nope. 8 is Michigan State. 9 is Michigan. 10 is Oklahoma State.
Texas A&M's better than Oklahoma State.
Nah, I don't know. Because Texas A&M's big wins not looking so hot because Alabama's not that good.
Right.
They just have to be 2 because somebody has to be 2.
They're not that good.
They're not?
They're not that good. They wouldn't beat all those teams in the top 10.
They're good. Everyone outside of Georgia is just simply a good football team.
Without further ado.
Alabama rushed for 6 yards.
Put Notre Dame at 1.
No, Georgia. Like we're all just like waiting to like play the national championship game, but we should just give this to Georgia now.
Nah,
Just
I
get
It
it
looked a
over with.
little.
Georgia's
more
offense is
human
butt.
this week. A butt is extreme, but
Georgia is Michigan with way better athletes.
the fact you even put Georgia and Michigan in the same sentence in comparing them blows my mind.
I don't think that's absurd at all. Georgia would win the game handily, but Georgia, like you want to talk about flaws, like Stetson Bennett is like Cade McNamara. He just has a better defense and his athletes are better. Anyways, sorry, I didn't want to go with that.
That's okay.
It's not foregone.
Well,
Don't make the
Georgia.
college fans depressed that the season's over.
I'm sticking to my guns and what I've done all year. So 1, Georgia. 2, Oklahoma. 3, Alabama. 4 is Cincinnati. 5, Ohio State. 6 is Oregon. 7 is Michigan. 8 is Oklahoma
You
State.
jumped Michigan over Michigan State?
Michigan State's not in my top 10. They don't.
Oh, no.
Fanboy Alex is sad.
I can't wait to see someone on TikTok say Evan's rankings ass.
I can't wait to see everybody just agree with me because it's the blue wall on social media. So 7 is Michigan, 8 is Oklahoma State, 9 is Texas A&M, and 10 is the Fighting Irish from South Bend.
I agree with your Texas A&M pick, so I like that.
Until they lose this week to Ole Miss.
Well,
Can I ask you one question, Alex?
yeah.
I think you were kind of being sarcastic when I was talking about Alabama. I think like you're like, oh, they wouldn't beat all those teams in the top 10 easily. What about them rushing for 6 yards against LSU makes you think that they would be like fine against all these other teams in the top 10?
Well, they have something that no one else does. Nick Saban.
Okay. So, yeah, they have the best coach.
They have the best. Well, everyone says stars don't matter, but they do. They have the best recruiting classes year in and year out. So they probably have the best players. And it just comes down to execution, coaching. Do they want to get up and play the game? And I would take Alabama on a neutral field against every single team in all of our top 10s except Georgia. And I think that I would.
Ditto.
I think I would have to because of their name, but I honestly would not feel good about them winning based on what I've seen.
I'd pick them and I'd feel good about
Their
it.
offensive
That semifinal game, I would put my entire life savings on Alabama in the semifinal game. Because
Whoever
you're
they
giving Nick Saban more than 2 weeks to prepare for that team.
I would say this though, their offensive line their lines are bad. Their offensive line is not good at all.
I wouldn't be stunned if Nick Saban found a way to have him win the SEC championship.
I think
game in
Oregon's defensive line could keep them in the game with Alabama. Now,
You're way higher on Oregon than a lot of people.
You have them 3.
I do. But I'm just
But
saying.
the biggest point is like the biggest point here.
Six.
Mine's
They're not
on
that
principle.
The biggest point here is like when Evan says Oklahoma 2 and Cincinnati 4. I can't even argue because this is such a crapshoot outside of Georgia. I have no idea. You could make an argument for every single team in this top 10.
Facts.
You could.
Evan, can you just attribute some of you dropping Michigan State completely out of this top 10 is based on how you don't want Michigan State to be ranked and you think they play worse when they're ranked?
That I would say that is 10%, but I am basing it off of last week's performance. It goes week by week.
But Evan,
I
18 to
think
22-year-olds.
I think I had him at 4 last week, maybe 5 last week. I don't remember. And all the teams behind us won. So
But Evan,
they're 12, so you know. 11's Ole Miss. Michigan State's 12.
I know Purdue.
Matt Corral would carve up Michigan State. Oh my god.
I know
Yeah.
Purdue is a bad
It'd be a
loss.
bloodbath.
Purdue is a bad loss. You know,
I would love to see Lane Kiffin throw his play sheet 60 miles in the air versus Michigan State.
Scotty
That'd be
Hazelton.
kinda cool.
Scotty Hazelton
That would
can
be
catch
kind of
it.
cool.
He can catch it on the other sideline.
I know, Evan, you think Purdue is a bad loss. Can we at least just acknowledge the fact Oregon lost to Stanford, and Stanford just
Purdue
lost 53 to
Minnesota,
7 to
who
Utah.
lost to Illinois, who lost to Bowling Green.
But Stanford just lost by 50 points.
Minnesota walked into
Okay.
Ross State Stadium and beat Purdue, something that we couldn't do.
Alex,
They gave up like 16 points for
I'm
Purdue.
just
we've had
saying,
this conversation 1,000
18
times.
to 22-year-olds are going to have bad losses.
Is that-
You can't punish Michigan State as much if you're not going to punish Oregon and everyone
But
else.
Oregon beat Ohio
You have
State.
Oregon at 3, then punish them.
I would love to. but
Oregon
I
beat
just-
Ohio State, Alex.
could.
That is we've talked about this 1,000 times.
But guys, you just keep forgetting that Michigan is ranked in everyone's top 10, and Michigan State beat them, so that's a top 10 win.
Correct.
Yeah, but
Correct.
But no one
Michigan's
cares.
the only team on here. Michigan, Oklahoma State.
But who
Cincinnati.
says Michigan's
Well,
good? We
Cincinnati
don't
and
know.
Notre Dame.
Then
So
how
Michigan
is-
and Oklahoma State are like the only teams that have don't really have a quality win. Oklahoma State has a better win than Michigan.
Michigan doesn't have a quality win. I agree.
Correct.
Wisconsin?
Sure.
Well, now Wisconsin is average.
Wisconsin's defense is like top 2 in the country.
Does Ohio State have a good win then? Is Penn State considered good?
They're
No,
solid.
Penn State's bad.
So Ohio State doesn't have a good win.
But they have the brand. They've earned that. They earned it. I'm sorry. That's not.
I hate
test?
the brand.
Eye test.
No,
eye test.
Eye test is
Eye
not
test.
good. I would say brand test. Eye test, they have not. I don't think
Eye
they look
test. Ohio State is good.
No, they're good.
Yes.
They're good. They're not great. They're good. They're not great.
They have like a top 10 offense every single year.
Here's a spin zone.
They're worse than the last 2 years.
Michigan beat Washington. Washington beat Stanford. Stanford beat Oregon. Oregon beat Ohio State. Michigan is just as good or better than Oregon and Ohio State.
No,
Based on
So bad.
they can't score in the red
Pac-12 is
zone.
So bad.
what? What'd you say?
I said the Pac-12 is bad.
Correct. And Stanford beat Oregon.
We're gonna beat Ohio
We just
State.
let that go because it's okay because it happened a month ago and everyone forgot.
No, we don't. I don't. I have a system where if you just have one loss like that, but you have a really good win, you'll stay where you need to stay. If they're as bad as you think, they're going to get blown up by Utah, and we won't even discuss this. But right now, they stay at 3 because they've earned it. They had the best win in the entire country.
They're at 6 on mine. So
Are you-
Yeah, well, my whole point is that
you're just arguing that Evan doesn't have him in the top 10.
Evan can't drop
Okay.
Michigan State out of the top 10 on the same
Yes, I can.
principle of
He
Oregon.
can.
Yeah.
It's his rankings.
He can because you don't.
Yes,
but it's
I
mainly
can.
because you don't want to see him in there because you have some weird tiny voodoo jinx thing going on where you think when we're highly ranked we suck. But it's not true.
They proved it on College Game Day. They said it on College Game Day. Michigan State has the worst win percentage when they're ranked in the top 5.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, now they're not in the top 5. They're 12 for you. And we'll see what they are tomorrow in the college.
Rightly placed.
Briefly.
They might go down to 13.
Oh
Briefly,
my God, Evan.
I have to say I'm a little disappointed in Michigan State because they really did the whole state dirty. Because now I don't know what the committee's going to do because what was holding us up was the committee thinking we were both good, and now Michigan and Michigan State both might plummet. Because the only reason Michigan was hanging around because Michigan State lost and it looked so bad. Now it looks worse. So that just screwed the whole pooch on the whole state. So we'll see what happens.
Purdue's going to be in the top 25 based on what they've done so far.
Oh, based on what they did. They had Minnesota ranked, and they only had one win over somebody
But
else
you will
over
for sure
500.
be ranked in the
Yeah,
state.
so the Michigan State's loss will be to a ranked team, so it won't be as bad.
What a joke this is. I will say
Ohio State's about to put 55 on Purdue, so it's going to be. They're not going to be ranked after next
if
week.
everyone wants to feel better, Michigan State fans, coming from unbiased national reporter Grant, because I am so hammered in on this letdown spot with college kids, this really doesn't change. This loss didn't change my opinion of the Michigan State team that much. I still think they're talented enough to win the rest of the games on their schedule and go to the college football playoff. It would not surprise me if they do.
Everything's in front of us.
like everybody else.
So it's basically the Big Ten East is winning your end for.
But the loss, again, we had this argument off the show. Evan was that Alex was trying to tell me that the loss for Purdue didn't really affect the college football playoff outlook, and I told him that 100% does.
It doesn't.
100% does.
It doesn't if you think about it like you never thought Michigan State was ever good enough to get to the playoff.
No, it does because if you're undefeated and like now they're the one loss, now everybody's comparing all the one loss teams. But if you're undefeated going to the playoff, you're in no matter what. I mean, no matter what. If you're undefeated, you win the Big Ten championship undefeated. There's no question about it. You have one loss. Now you're comparing everybody.
I still would safely say the one loss Big Ten champ is going to go. I'm
Yeah,
confident.
but now we have to
but-
compare ourselves to Cincinnati. We have to compare ourselves to Notre
That's
Dame.
what Evan's
and we'll be like, oh, Notre Dame
Oh.
lost to Cincinnati. That's
Evan.
a better loss.
I don't think Big Ten was getting two teams in with Michigan State with one loss and Ohio State with one loss winning the Big Ten. I don't think.
understand.
Evan, my point.
That's what Grant thinks.
No. This is my Evan. This was my point. I want to see if you agree. My thought was if Michigan State won out, goes to the Big Ten championship game, loses to Wisconsin tight, I still think there was a chance for them to backdoor as the 4th seed into the playoff. Now I think with the Purdue loss, that you obviously can't. do
Michigan
that.
State does not have the brand to backdoor in the playoff without winning. The
A one loss Big Ten championship appearing team I think could get in if it's a tight game to Wisconsin.
Yeah, if it's Michigan or Ohio State or Penn State.
That's such a loser narrative.
It's true.
It's not true.
Look it up. Why was Michigan in the Sugar Bowl in 2012 or 14 or whatever
11.
it was? 11.
Dude, the BCS in itself was stupid. You can't compare that to the playoff.
It all comes down to one thing, Grant. It's a harsh reality. It's all about money. It's always
Well, Alex, bad news. It's the same thing's going to happen this year when Michigan goes to the Rose Bowl.
Right,
Go
the
to-
Rose Bowl selection because they get to pick, and then the Rose Bowl will take Michigan because of brand, and we won't get to go.
Well, it'll just be based on rankings of playoff teams.
Nope, Rose Bowl gets to pick. They're the only ones that get their discretion. They get to choose.
I'm going to have to do some research into that, writing down the nugget. Who gets to go to
Evan told me that.
Wow, just throw them under the bus.
And one of the criteria is who hasn't been here the longest.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't been there the longest, they're going to bring in more money because more fans are going to want to go.
Real. It's all about money.
I'll have to do some research, and
Can't wait for that Capital One Bowl, and Michigan's in the Rose Bowl with the same record.
We might get to go to the Peach Bowl against Pitt. That's all projection about that. That'd be a sweet 10-hour drive down.
Would be. I mean, it'd be cheaper.
I'll report back after.
It'd be 100% cheaper.
I already looked at Pasadena flights, and
there's a comma in there, so I'm probably out.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to swing that.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen.
Most people start advertising the podcast and start paying us hundreds of thousands of dollars.
It would be an absolute legendary story if we just got in somebody's car and said, we're out there.
It would be cool.
All right. Well, speaking of the playoff and all that, we'll get to some games that both these teams need to win to have a shot for New Year's Six Bowls. The first one we have on the docket is Michigan State versus Maryland, 4 p.m. on Fox. Announcers, Evan.
Announcers. Ooh, I'm projecting. Oh, what are the other games on Fox that week? Gus is in Baylor. Oh, I hope we get Joe Davis.
I think we will.
Joe Davis and Brock Hurd. Please.
Michigan State minus 12.5 point favorites. Over under 62.5. Sound the alarms. That's the highest over.
Hammer the over.
It's the highest over under I've read this year, I believe, and it is not a Big Ten football buffet. Hopefully, the weather is good in East Lansing for them to have a chance.
It is not. It is a chance of snow and a high of 39 that day, with winds up to 50 miles per hour.
You don't love that for a quarterback who's Hawaiian with the last name Tagovailoa. That doesn't seem like a good recipe.
This game's going to suck.
What are your guys' nuggets going into this matchup?
Number
First
one.
thing, Alex, I want to speak one thing before you can absolutely just ramble on. Spin Zone, 4 o'clock game. Tailgate opens at 9. 7 hours of drinking.
I don't want to remember
You've
this
got
game.
to pump it up. You've got to pump it up.
If there's your actual game analyst.
No, I was going to actually say, if there's a game to get absolutely blitzed for the game, it's this one. It is this one. Because who cares to watch it? It's going to be gross. Keys to the game, number one, I would love to see our pass defense be a little bit better than last week. That's not crazy talk. That's just what I would like to see. Two, I'd like to see some pressure on the quarterback, make Maryland uncomfortable. The classic coach speak things that I would like to see. And then 3, this feels like if Kenneth Walker is going to get to New York and have a chance to win a Heisman Trophy, he needs to go bananas in this game. Needs it. Needs it bad. I mean, 200-plus yards is what I need from Kenneth Walker in this game.
Maryland's rush defense.
Oh, Evan, I got some stats for you.
Uh-oh. I hope it's in my favor.
Maryland gave up 166 yards to Ohio State, a whopping 326 to Minnesota, and 204 to Indiana's anemic rushing offense.
This is the game for Kenneth Walker.
I just wrote Kenneth Walker should feast.
Yeah, he needs to. This is a Heisman, but it's not a Heisman game because it's not a high-profile game. But stat pattern, this is it.
They did only allow 93, I think, to Penn State, but Penn State has a really terrible running back by committee, so I don't think that means anything for Maryland. I don't think they figured anything out, I'll say that. Also, on the opposite side of the trenches, they have not rushed for over 100 yards in their last 5 games, so they are not going to run the football.
I will say
that doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter who Michigan State's going to play anymore. The other team's going to throw the ball 40-plus times. You can just book it, ship it, send it. Guarantee it.
Now, the reason I was so nervous about the weather, I'm intrigued by it, I do think this game could be a little closer than Michigan State fans want going into like the third quarter, middle of the third. Because, now again, weather, maybe it all goes to crap. But Maryland, from watching I just watched the Penn State game because I thought, what better way to preview is I just watched the two teams our teams play. They played each other last week. So Maryland-Penn State was 7-6 at the half. And honestly, in the third quarter, Maryland had a chance to take the lead and should have won the game. They fumbled a snap, a exchange like McCarthy and Corum in the red zone, and then Penn State got it, and they still made it 14-14 in the fourth quarter, even with that turnover. So
did lose 31-14.
Also, Penn State got a pick 6 in desperation time. I mean, I really watched the highlights today, and the game just got away from Maryland. They were in the game the whole way. Maryland has really athletic tight ends. and their QB is the most prolific stat guy in the Big Ten. Now he's also turnover prone. So he's
He
like
threw 5 picks against Ohio State.
he has 9 interceptions.
Iowa.
9.
Iowa. That's
Yeah,
it.
that was their bad game of the year.
Friday night game.
9 interceptions on the year for Talia Tagovailoa. But I will say this: the kid does make plays. He's athletic like Adrian Martinez, but he's a much better thrower of the football. He doesn't throw the ball downfield a lot. They do a lot of dink and dunk type stuff. But I mean, he is a top 10 yards quarterback in the country. He's the number 1 yards quarterback in the Big Ten. He slings it a lot, and they know what they're doing passing the ball offensively, and I think that'll help them hang in the game. But obviously, their defense is atrocious, and I think that ultimately will knock them out of the game. I'll open up to you, Evan, if anything, before we get into predictions and our meters.
I 100% agree with like Alex's points. I would like to see turnovers, field position battle, and then clearly if has to be a Kenneth Walker like time of possession. Like
I want to feed him the ball
and
35.
you don't see their offense on the field for
You
majority.
guys want to be like Michigan for a game,
I want to feed the ball to
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker all game long.
like a boring phone
over
booth.
and over and over and over.
again and again.
I can't imagine it's
Like-
not going to work.
And I hope just Herb Brooks do the Herb Brooks in Miracle again.
No, I'm not doing that.
No.
But I
So
would love to feed it.
on the road in Big Ten games, Maryland has given up 117 points,
Which is like what,
and
3?
they've only scored 53,
They're not going on the road then. It sounds like.
and that's only 3 road games.
Okay, but that's Ohio State and Iowa, like 2 of their worst performances of the season.
Whoa! No, they played at home against Iowa. Just so you know.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
That was
they
a
played at
Friday
home
night
versus
home
Iowa on
game.
Friday
Maryland was
night.
buzzing, and they got absolutely pissed off.
Yeah, I was at Fieldhouse that one night. I told the story. We were just watching Luke and I were watching TV, going, "Oh, Iowa scored again and again and again."
Yes. So I think advantage Michigan State. It's the 13-point spread way too high. So
I will say though. Oh wait, what do you mean too high? Like
Maryland's going to cover the 13-point spread.
I'm leaning that way too. I don't think my prediction actually has them covering because maybe MSU will backdoor. I also think this whole secondary injury issues that we're not going to know about is going to play a big factor because obviously against a team that's going to throw the ball 65 times, you're going to want your best players out there. So hopefully for Michigan State's sake, Ron Williams is healthier and not just an emergency cornerback. Would you like to hop into our predictions and must-win meters?
Sure.
Alex?
I'm ready for it.
Must win. It's a must win.
Makes sense.
You need to win. I mean, much more than you needed to win last week. This one, really, you need to win. Prediction, I do think it'll be high scoring, but I don't know if it's going to hit the over on the 62.5. Because I think Michigan State is going to try to TOP it. Time of possession, run the ball. 38 to 24. My math checks.
Cover.
This is
Just under by half a point.
This is fire defensive quality control assistant upon loss. Prediction though: Michigan State 40, Maryland 21. No, sorry. On the ride home today, I changed it. I forgot to write that down. Michigan State 40, Maryland 28. Sorry.
28 really covered. Good for them.
Sneaky backdoor.
This is a fire. You know what? I'm going to say it. This is fire Jay Johnson upon a loss if he does not give Kenneth Walker 32 handoffs.
Handoffs or just touches?
Handoffs.
Handoffs. Common folks.
32 handoffs. He should have at least 32 rush attempts after this game. I'll be irate if he doesn't.
Honestly, I don't
fire
think
him upon loss.
I don't think it'll get to 32.
We'll see you, Jay.
Will be absolutely disgusting.
Because
if
it
he
will
doesn't.
be up by too much at that point. He won't need it.
Oh!
Well, you could just give him like 23,
Maryland's 5-4.
25 in the
They're not
first half,
terrible.
and we don't have to worry about it.
Home game, coming off a loss.
Yeah, this is.
MSU will learn somebody's seen with a gun on campus. Good to know.
Okay, Evan Humphrey
Stay safe out there, Spartans.
Mascot.
I have it 38 to 26.
That's almost the same as me.
But
except
not-
you have them.
Yeah, because Alex, I had
that.
that in my head before you spoke, and then you spoke, and I was going to change it, and you said, no, I'm sticking to my
That's
score
right.
prediction.
38-24, 38-26, and 40-28.
Yeah.
Only I have the dogs covered.
Because they cover.
The weather
Who's going to cover?
The weather might mess up my prediction. If the weather is snowing, then you can scratch my prediction. Okay, now we move to the noon game, but not big noon kickoff, big ABC kickoff. Michigan at Penn State.
Sean McDonough.
Hold your butts, guys. It is it's a helmet stripe the stadium game.
Who did we have it?
I saw their plan to do that is the lamest thing I've ever seen.
It's pretty lame.
Yeah, I'm not intimidated by it at all. If
imagine being the guy in the Navy.
I mean, it's just one little butthole stripe from Navy.
Imagine being that one row that's all wearing Navy.
I think it's
guys.
I think it's feeling really stupid. It's a noon game. Think the heavens that we don't play there at night. I still have nightmares and cold sweats of Mo Bamba in my mind. Did Evan give us announcer predictions? Who do you think?
Oh, I actually wanted to ask, who was Michigan State's announcers this week? I don't remember.
Michigan State's?
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be.
Purdue was Dave Pash, and I don't know who the.
I think Dave Pash and that other weird guy that doesn't. I don't know where he.
Dusty Dorvacek.
Yeah, who's Dorvacek?
Dusty Dorvacek.
No, I think it'll be Bob Wischusen and Dan Orlowski.
They've had 15 Michigan games this year.
Well,
they haven't in a while.
ESPN people.
They haven't in a while.
They always seem to do a noon game too. So
no, I think it's going to be a bigger crew than that.
Well,
no offense.
We'll be drinking.
Penn State is a minus 0.5 favorites, which I don't at that point just call it a pick 'em.
It changed to -1.
Oh, breaking news. Ding, ding, ding. Penn State -1. The disrespect for Michigan. I'll play that card. Let's do it. Over under 40.
On the road.
Over
disrespect.
Over under 48.5. Just right in the smack dab middle there of your over-unders. Some stats for you to just chew on here of Penn State. Penn State is scoring 27 points per game. Overall, that's 78th out of 130 teams in the country. Now, when you go to conference play, they're only scoring 22 points per game, and they've allowed 16.7 points per game, which is 10th out of 130. So their scoring defense is top 10 in the country, playing solid defense. Now, here's the thing, though. Like we just talked about Maryland not running the ball. Against Illinois, OSU, and Maryland, they average 2 yards per carry. They simply can't run the football, which is crazy because I was told Noah Cain was a good running back going into the season. And
James Franklin is so overrated.
He's a leader of men.
They have this running back by committee that's super gross that we talked about to start the year, how we don't like. Like, no guy gets in rhythm. And now rushing the ball. So now, like I did with Maryland, they gave up 110 yards rushing to Iowa, 357 to Illinois. I don't know how that happened. And
they ran the ball 60 times.
And 164 to OSU, because OSU is more balanced, but still 164 to OSU, and OSU's not grounded pounding you to death.
Are you saying that Michigan's going to run for 500 on Saturday?
Well, Blake Corum's hurt, so we don't know. That's going to factor in heavily in this game. Injuries are going to be huge in this game. Now here's a thing that's making me feel better. Penn State's defense has recorded a turnover in every single game this year and has had multiple in at least 5 games. So
that
based on what
good.
Yes, because what I've seen from Michigan is they can overcome those turnovers are kind of lucky sometimes. There's no rhyme or reason unless it's like a really great pick by a guy. I trust Cade McNamara and Hassan Haskins to hold on to the football in this game because they're grown men and they're seniors. And, well, Hassan is. Cade's not. Cade plays like a senior. He's just game manager. Doesn't turn the ball over. I think they're not going to bail out Penn State with that turnover advantage that they get in games. And I think that's going to work in Michigan's favor. So protecting the ball is massive. That's pretty much it. I mean, again, I told you, Penn State did not impress me against Maryland. They did impress me a little bit against Ohio State. If we get Sean Clifford, Ohio State, it could be a little dicey because he made some big-time throws in that game. But basically, this just comes down to clamping one guy, and it's Jahan Dotson. Now, how do you do that? I don't know. You just have to key on him.
Very good player.
Unbelievable player.
Well, you actually have been telling me all year he's not that good. You haven't heard anything about him, and you haven't seen a single highlight package.
And then guess what?
So it sounds like you actually decided to look and watch him, and you realize he's pretty good.
The week I said it, he had a career game.
Yeah, he's a really
So
good
now his numbers are inflated from having 250 yards in a game against Maryland.
He's really good.
Who stinks. We'll see what he does. I'll get my eyes all over Jahan Dotson this week.
Must-win meter, unless, Evan, you got some keys to
James Franklin's hate hour?
I do absolutely hate James Franklin. I think he's one of the most overrated coaches in college football.
Fran McCaffrey, Tom Allen, and now
I hate Tom Allen more than James Franklin, but I hate James Franklin. He's just completely overrated. Sean Clifford's overrated. The only thing that Penn State really has going for them right now is that their defense is solid. There's some NFL players on that side, and they're playing at home. Like, if this was in Ann Arbor, I think it would be a bloodbath. But I think it's a complete reverse. It's not going to be a bloodbath. This is a little bit tight. Do I trust Michigan football on the road?
Yep, you do, because of Wisconsin.
Must-win meter, Evan.
Must-win meter. It should be a must-win because they only have one loss on the year.
And your prediction.
And you don't lose to the worst teams. Score prediction. Do I stick with my guns and go what I said at the beginning of the season? Or do I change mine?
Stick with those guns.
He did.
I should have stuck with my guns against the Purdue game. I did say in the earlier year that Michigan State would lose to Purdue. I just don't think Penn State's that good. I just really don't. Michigan has to win this game. It's just going to be a Big Ten buffet. I got Michigan 20, Penn State 18.
Ooh.
Don't ask me how they got to 18.
That might be scoregami.
Scoregami. Now I'm going to help people out with how to think about this. Remember I told you guys that after the Michigan State loss, Michigan fan Grant, whenever it was a big game, was always going to think Michigan's going to blow it. Well, get lucky for them. This is not one of those puke in your mouth big games. Like, historically over Harbaugh's tenure, when Penn State and Wisconsin are having down years, Michigan beats them, and usually pretty handily. And I would consider this a down year for Penn State. They don't look that good, like Evan said. But yes, it is at Penn State. It is at noon, which kind of helps, obviously. It's a must-win. No firings happening because the Ohio State game is still out there, and that can save your whole season, sadly, when it comes to Michigan, the state of the program. So you will not fire anyone. You'll want to. You really will. I'll want to, but I'll remember, well, if they beat Ohio State. So it's a must-win. And it's Michigan 31. It's Penn State 21.
I don't trust Michigan. Sorry.
Ooh.
Been going back and forth on this. I don't like either team. I don't feel good about picking either team. So when that is the case, I usually just side with the home team and side with the team that maybe is more healthy. I don't know the health of Michigan's team. Looks like they got pretty dinged up against Indiana, as Grant has mentioned. So I'll take the home team. And I guess I'll push in the game. I'll go 21-20 Penn State.
I'd like to ask one question, and I'm not going to argue with you.
I'm sure you won't.
Because I know Michigan's blown a lot of games like this in the past. But so their win against Wisconsin earlier in the year didn't change your mind? Because this feels like a very similar scenario to me.
No. Graham Mertz looked horrendous in that game. No, that didn't change my mind about the program of Michigan. No.
All right.
You gotta prove it more than just one game against.
I will tell you this then, as pod listeners, this win for Michigan will feel extra sweet knowing the disrespect that is out there on this podcast.
Am I disrespecting Michigan by picking the 1-point favorite to win by 1 point? Am I disrespecting them to think they're going to go into Happy Valley and win after what I've seen in the last 5-6 years?
Yeah, because you're a smart guy and you know college football, and we all know here that Penn State's really not that good. They lost to Illinois, so like Michigan should win this game by double digits.
Is Michigan really that good?
No, they're a good team though, and I don't think Penn State's good.
So Penn State's not good.
Penn State is an average.
We're in the boat that Penn State is not good.
Penn State is an average football team because good teams do not lose to Illinois. They're an average team. Michigan's good because they've beat every team that was definitely beneath them.
Does Penn State have the best win between the two programs?
Sound logic.
No. Who'd they beat?
Auburn?
No. Week 2, prime time. Bo Nix is garbage.
You could say that all you want. He's having a pretty good year.
They have 4 losses, so no.
4 losses?
Yeah, yes.
Who?
They just lost this weekend again.
Auburn?
Yes.
I think they have 3.
We're splitting hairs.
Well, I would just say that Wisconsin also does. So that's a terrible argument. Wisconsin has also lost 3 games.
It was on the road, though.
I'm just saying you can't definitively tell me that Penn State is a bad team and that Michigan's a good team.
Again, stop twisting my words. They are an average team. They're not bad. They're not good. They are an average college football team.
We'll see.
We will, and I'm gonna I'll celebrate. I'll send you some tweets.
You don't need to.
Oh, I will.
I picked a team to win by 1 point in a pretty close game where Vegas even set the line at 1 point. And you're telling me I'm disrespecting Michigan because I'm picking against them for the first time this whole season.
There felt some disrespect and disdain in your voice. That you're almost mad at the world that Purdue upset Michigan State. So you said, "No, what, Michigan, you're getting upset."
Yeah, Michigan's 2 biggest wins this year: Ohio State losing and Michigan State losing. Congrats, man.
Biggest win was Wisconsin.
No, you heard me.
Well, objectively speaking, yes, Purdue beating Michigan State was massive because now it makes Michigan alive. They're like that Undertaker gif in the casket, opening it back up. Like, not dead yet.
Till Saturday.
Oh, yes, I can't wait. Let's go. Let's go.
You're going to have to cut that.
Maybe.
You said you weren't going to swear on this podcast.
Yeah, guess what? Censor. Okay.
I knew I could.
Now we can come down from that high. I wanted to give everyone, a 5-minute, 2-minute, whatever segment here just to talk about what you've seen from the Red Wings and Pistons early on this season because I don't want to ignore them. We're about, 9 games in or so for each team, 10 games in? Evan's clapping. Wings, kick us off, Wing fan Evan.
Can Bertuzzi just get it done so we can play in Canada, Evan? Come on.
Whoa, this is not a political show.
We're getting outscored 9-1 versus Montreal, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, because he's not playing.
Nah.
We're not there yet. Our team is not there yet. We are more competitive. We're faster. We're more skillful. We don't have all of Ken Holland's washed-up guys on the team anymore. Lucas Raymond's going to win Rookie of the Year. He's leading all rookies in points. Sire won NHL Rookie of the Month for September.
So when's the Stanley Cup coming to Detroit?
Give it 3 years.
Oh, my God, Evan, I'm not that patient.
Well, you're going to have to be more patient because we're going to have to get more prospects. We have to draft well, and then we have to hit on a couple free agencies.
Remember when you lied to all of us and said Jack Eichel would be a Red Wing?
Well, there was a very good chance.
Well,
and
he's not.
Vegas threw the bag at him because Vegas is the LA Rams of hockey. They don't care about their draft picks. They don't care about who they draft.
The Red Wings are making the playoffs this season.
That's too hard to tell. I don't think so.
Why? They're 1 out of the last spot right now.
That is flaming
and
hot
guess what?
Cheetos spicy.
Guess what? Well, I'll reevaluate a quarter of the way through the season, but right now, Tyler Bertuzzi, 5th in the league in points. Lucas Raymond, forget the rookie of talk.
And not playing in Canada.
Lucas Raymond, 7th in the league in points. 19 years old.
It's early, but yeah.
7th in the league in points.
I don't know if Lucas Raymond can hold it up, withstand it. If Tyler Bertuzzi can stay healthy, he has a chance to withstand it.
But he's losing out on a lot of games, Evan.
But Lucas Raymond is scoring I'm not saying all of his goals. He's scored a good chunk of his goals on the power play, so it means he's getting available and he's burying it into the back of the net.
He is. He drops to that one knee on the one-timers, and it is erotic.
Guys.
And so now everyone has to have their faith in the Weissman plan because he drafted both of those guys when they were questionable picks, and they're working so far.
Yeah, I have no complaints. I'm all trusting.
Okay, so Alex, hey, we missed out on Jack Eichel. Johnny Hockey is going to be a free agent at the end of this year. So, maybe
still crossing my fingers for that. Now, guys, I have a serious question.
Okay.
No, I have not watched a second of the Pistons this year because I don't care to watch bad basketball.
Is Jeremy Grant ever going to reach what he was last year, or is he just a lost cause?
I mean, he scored over 20 points in one half, so I say he's not slowing down that much.
He's had a couple bad games in a row.
What's this team is?
They haven't played since the Nets game.
8 bad games.
Correct. I don't know. He just doesn't look, that good.
You want a hot take? I still have not walked back my take that they'll make the play-in game. I will reassess when we're 25% of the way in. I refuse to change my thoughts 9 games into the season. They've had one of the toughest NBA schedules of any team. It's a bloodbath of a who's who of the Eastern Conference. So once we start beating up on the bad teams of the league...
There aren't that many bad teams.
There are.
No, we are that team.
No, we're just playing the good teams. And 3 of them we
Why can't we play the Lakers? Can't we play the Lakers like 15 times? I think we'd
probably lose 12 of them.
Oh, geez, dude. The Lakers are booty.
Guys, you're going to have to eventually look in the mirror and realize, we're the bad team teams look forward to playing.
No.
I don't think we played the Pelicans yet.
Nope, we have not. We are better than the Rockets, the Pelicans, the Magic, the Spurs, the Thunder.
Magic?
Yeah.
Pretty decent.
Look, I love the kid, but I'm not scared Sadiq Bey and Jeremy Grant can guard Franz Wagner, okay? That's not going to be a problem. The Rockets, the Pelicans, the Magic, the Spurs, the Thunder, the Pacers. I'll even throw in the Timberwolves. I'm not scared of their stars. Isaiah Stewart will clamp Cat. those teams better than.
Michigan. The Pistons will not make the playoffs. They will not make the playing game, and I will stand by that.
I won't go there yet. Still haven't seen enough.
Good news, we play the Rockets.
Yeah.
1 versus 8 versus 1 versus 9 on Wednesday.
Jalen Green, Wednesday night. Welcome to the Thunderdome. Also, now I just want to clear up some things for that whole Cade's a bust talk, Cade can't shoot talk. I had to go. I was a little nervous for a little bit. I was like, why can't he shoot? I watched him at Oklahoma State play forever. You guys want to hear Kobe Bryant's first couple games in the NBA to make yourself feel better.
Don't need to feel better.
0 points, 1 point, 5 points, 10 points, 2 points, 2 points, 6 points, 4 points. So Cade's already registered 17 and 18. Now he hasn't been shooting efficiently, but at least he's doing the thing, so don't be worried.
We also
and let's not forget that Cade is coming off like an ankle injury. So, like, if you have an ankle injury and you're not shooting, it's going to be a little bit of adjustment.
Maybe that base on the jump shot's not feeling as tight as it needs to be.
Yeah, and he's not in game shape yet.
Oh, he stays game ready.
He's always in game shape, Alex.
He's also a vegan.
There is no game shape for the NBA.
Especially the regular season.
Yeah, no, there is.
Let's get Luka Garza a minute and Saban Lee. I want to see them play on the big boy squad.
They're sweet on the cruise.
All right, well, that's your...
Oh, my gosh, that Wednesday game is on ESPN at 7:30.
Jalen Green. There's a little beef there.
I hope there's a
Can you imagine the national media being like, we have to watch a 1-8, 1-9 basketball game on Wednesday night primetime NBA?
Speaking of a game, Evan, you can watch on ESPN. What game are you watching tomorrow, Evan?
Butler.
7 o'clock, Madison Square Garden. The unranked Spartans face, I think, the third ranked.
Yeah.
Kansas Jayhawks.
But Jalen Wilson caught a DUI, so I think he's supposed to be good, so that'll help you guys out a little bit.
I don't think it'll help us out that much.
Well,
we notoriously don't win these games.
I was there for it last year, folks, so I can attest.
You were not there last year.
The year before? Was it 2 years ago now?
Yes.
Yep.
That's
2 years ago.
We played at Duke for the Champions Classic, and we won.
Oh, so it wasn't MSG last year?
No, there was COVID. There was no fans.
Well, the last time the Champions Classic at MSG, my butt was in attendance, and I can tell you, yes, I can confirm that Michigan State did not win that game. They played well, though. Tyrese Maxey just kind of went off on the main stage.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for the classic Michigan State basketball Twitter to severely overreact if Michigan State loses on Tuesday. Can't wait.
Can you guys give me for myself as a guy I haven't dove in deep into this Michigan State team this year. I do know a lot, though, because I'm a loser and I follow their team as well, partially because of the podcast, partially because I love college basketball. But pretend I don't know anything about this team. What are some storylines that I should be focused on in the beginning parts of the season before we really turn our full attention to college basketball?
Question number 1. Has Michigan State found its point guard? Last year, they did not have a point guard that was worth a bleep. This year, they brought in Tyson Walker. Hopefully, he makes
Bro, you were talking about A.J. Hoggard to me the other day.
A.J. Hoggard is a different basketball player, and he is going to be a weapon on this basketball team.
I was throwing up.
I'll die on the A.J. Hoggard hill. I think he takes a huge jump.
I cannot wait to come back to this hill and just bury you 6 feet under.
Quote 7/40/11/8/2021. Alex, I will die on AJ Hoggard.
What a shitty hill to die on.
You'll see.
Have you seen his hair?
I think it's funny that you guys are just writing off a kid that played one season as an 18-year-old in the middle of a pandemic, and you automatically think he's just garbage.
No, it's right.
Wild.
No. This kid can't shoot, and he doesn't know how to play defense. So I have witnessed it with my eyes. He can't guard a kid on Fair State or Grand Valley.
Look,
we'll see.
I'll agree, Alex. It is reckless.
We'll see. I witnessed it already.
I'm not saying he's going to be, Cassius Winston. I went to the open
practice. Yes, I'm a loser.
Siren.
Open practice.
Don't hurt me.
Evan, I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar.
They do the shoot-around warm-up drill. All guards are shooting threes in the corner. You know what A.J. Hoggard did every single time?
Probably
catch, one dribble in, he's shooting a 12-foot jump shot. You are a Division I basketball player. You're going to have to figure out how to shoot from deep. I'm sorry.
Well, and if not, you better be the best defender and best passer in the country.
He has 3 years to get better.
But I'm talking about this year.
He'll be better than last year.
I'm talking about this year.
He will be better than last year.
He can't get any worse. He can't get any worse.
He will be better.
Alex, I just want to
He will be in the playing rotation.
clarity. I think it is reckless for Evan to be like, oh, there's no chance, but it's also reckless for like, he's going to be good and I'll die on that hill. Like, that's also reckless.
I think he'll have a good Michigan State basketball career.
it's just as reckless to say that as it for us to be out on him after what we saw last year.
We'll see.
We will. I'm excited.
He sucks.
So your point guard situation, Evan, your storyline for Michigan State going into the season.
Storyline: can the role player seniors step up when they're needed the most?
And
So,
they are
previous years. Gabe Brown
Gabe
and
Brown.
Marcus Bingham have been just role players. Holy cow! My TV just turned on.
I was like, what is that?
He
Blue?
did turn blue.
Role players, and now they are going to be asked to demand minutes and score the ball when we can't score. Marcus Bingham, a little bit more talented than Gabe Brown offensively, solely based off of the position. I don't know if Gabe Brown can develop his own shot, and I don't know if Marcus Bingham's consistent enough where he's not going to do something stupid where he's going to get pulled from the game.
Okay. So older guys, vets. We have point guard. Give me best player on the team
Max Christie.
and most important.
It's Max Christie, and it's
Not
not
close.
even going to be close. It will not be close. You're going to watch the first game, and I've already watched 2 exhibition games. He's the most talented offensive player on this team.
Okay.
I think he can be one of the top players in the Big Ten after this year.
He wipes the floor with how inefficient our offensive game skill is.
So I'm glad we have him then.
And then get a little sweaty here. You know, like there's a best player, and then also can you give me like a most important / the glue guy player that you think is going to be the guy?
Malik Hall. I think he'll be significant because he can score the basketball and he just needs to be a better defending the basketball. But he can hit threes. He has good moves towards the hoop. And our big men are shaky. But Evan, you can go with my least favorite player on the team, but maybe I'll enjoy him this year. Do it.
You're talking about Joey Hauser.
Yeah, you're right.
No, he is the one. He is
He's
probably
my-
the most important person on the team. I'm not saying he's the glue guy, but he's the most important. You have to develop scoring now that 3 of our top 4 scorers are gone. He is the leading scorer returning, and you have to develop or you have to generate scoring from a post player type. He can shoot. It's just a matter of can he stay on the court without making as many mistakes.
Gotta play
And
better.
I have witnessed now that they have experiencing with different lines. So I don't know if Tom will have to or will attempt to put in Joey in those situations of the defensive isolations like he had to last year.
I was going to say, he's probably going to have him in when he can hide him in the corner on defense where he doesn't have to do anything.
With the current rotation of the first 2 games, Marble Hogard, and then Malik Hall is like the first guy off the bench. And when Malik comes in, he goes to the 3. He goes to the wing. He doesn't come in for the 4. So we're a little bit bigger in some situations. So Joey doesn't have to guard like a post player if he doesn't have to.
Play a matchup zone with Joey Hauser in.
That's okay. Alex.
He's bad.
On Michigan side for basketball.
Who's the best player?
Oh, wait.
I was about to rip into you, Alex. I was about to rip into you.
About what?
You just said Joey Hauser was bad, and then you're ridiculing Grant and I talking about AJ Hogard. It was his first year.
I said Joey Hauser's
year.
a bad defender. I think he has much more promise than AJ Hogard. I'd like to say that on the record.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Grant. I'm sorry. I apologize for interrupting you.
No, I like it. I like the passion that Michigan State basketball invokes in you guys. Michigan's biggest storyline to watch going into the start of the season would be, I would say, from what I saw in the exhibition, does Moussa Diabate carve out a role quickly like Hunter Dickinson did as a freshman last year? Like we saw how Austin Davis started, and it was pretty clear that Hunter Dickinson was a better player, and he got inserted. I'm curious to see how that evolves minutes-wise for Moussa, being a talented freshman. Best player, Hunter Dickinson. Most important player would be Eli Brooks still, I would say, just the glue guy of the team. Their starting 5 is pretty down pat. It's just going to be how deep can they be with new wild cards off the bench. I'm most excited, I guess, to see Caleb Houston play, to see if the shooting that he's supposed to have lives up to the hype, how good he'll be overall. And then I want to end with, for this, is our expectations, so we can get our expectations on record for both teams and see how they change throughout the year. So what are your guys' expectations for Michigan State basketball this season? You can go regular season, conference tourney. Do like regular season.
I have my answer.
Where you're going to finish regular season, a conference tourney. Are you good enough to make a run? Do you expect them to make a run in the conference tournament? And then March. How's March going to go?
Evan, I want you to go first.
My projections,
you're
hopefully,
negative guy.
fingers crossed, finish in the top 5 in the Big Ten. I think we're as on paper right now, I'd say we're the 5th best team. Regular season, well, that was regular season, finished 5th. Big Ten tournament, I see them they could get to the conference championship, but it's all about who you play in matchups, but semifinals, and then in the big dance, probably a 5 or 6, probably somewhere between 5 and 8 maybe, and then just gets the second weekend. I don't think we're as talented as some teams out there, but also when your football team is so good, you don't really pay attention to basketball right now, so I don't know enough information. We're not as talented a team as last year, and we barely got in. So those non-conference games are going to be huge. Alex, we are not as talented as last year.
Based on Aaron Henry?
I mean, no one got drafted from the team last year, so.
Henry, gone. Langford, gone. Rocket Watts, gone.
I love Langford. He was a walking
Alex, we
corpse.
lost 3 of our 4 leading scorers. Your leading scorer to lead this Michigan State team out that I had to stare at every single game. Leading scorer, returning scorer, 9 points, Joey Hauser. Leading rebounder, Joey Hauser. Assists per game, AJ Hogard.
Evan, would you take Max Christie over Aaron Henry?
No. Alex,
Not yet.
Max Christie is very talented offensively.
Bro,
I'm going to say yeah.
that's respectful.
But I watched Aaron Henry put the entire team on his back last year down to run.
I just remember his
terrible
terrible ending to the season, and it makes me mad.
Remember the Ohio State win.
He did not box out.
He didn't box out, and he took a disgusting isolation jumper to try to win the game. Ugh.
When Max Christie drops 25 against Ohio State or Purdue, then we can have this talk.
He's probably going to score over 20 against Kansas on Tuesday, tomorrow.
Teams are eventually just going to double team Max Christie, and we're going to have the "oh no, what do we do?" and they're just going to throw it to somebody at the end of the shot clock, and it's it.
What do you mean? Hogard's going to dunk from the free throw line?
I think, dude, I'm not saying he's even going to start. I'm just saying he's going to be better this year, and he's going to be in the rotation, and you're not going to puke every time you see him.
Who are you talking about?
Hogard.
Nah, I puke every time I see him.
I think Michigan State is better at point guard this year. I think Max Christie is a huge addition.
Late on
I think Jaden Akins is a nice addition.
They're winning the Big Ten.
I think the big men are going to be better. I think Bingham will take a step. We're
not deep enough on Domino.
Michigan State, they will not win the Big Ten. But I think they'll finish top 4 in the Big Ten, so one better than what Evan said. So I think they'll have a double bye. Big Ten tournaments, no reason to even try to predict that. It's all about matchups.
Come on, let's have fun.
What if Michigan State's playing a team for the 3rd time? I'm not getting into that.
If we lose to Maryland again this year, I'm going to throw up.
I expect them to be,
They're gonna be good.
Like a top 6 seed in the tournament, and it's Sweet 16 or bust. This is, if you want to call yourself a blue blood program, it's Sweet 16 or bust every season. So anything less than I'm disappointed every year. So I want to be in the Sweet 16. I expect them to get there.
All right. Michigan, Big Ten regular season champions, semifinal minimum in the conference tournament, and national championship game appearance are the expectations going into the year. Two banners minimum.
When you were doing your weird whistle thing when I gave mine, were you trying to say that I was giving too high of expectations?
No.
And then meanwhile, you drop a bomb about how you're going to the national championship game?
Let's not. Well, 1, no, I wasn't. I was just thinking out loud, 6. Okay, I was thinking how it would go. And then 2, it's not hot take. I mean, if you look at the futures market right now, they're right. They're second. They're right behind Gonzaga to win it all. So, the biggest question I could have shown in the storylines is I'm just curious the edge this Michigan team has, because with Livers, Wagner, and Shawnee Brown, those were some dudes. Those were some aggressive dudes that play with a chip on their shoulder. So I'm curious. I don't want this team to be labeled soft. I'm a little worried about that in some aspects. I think Devontae Jones brings some grit. I think there's some other people that bring grit. So, and I also think the way Juwan Howard coaches practices, that gives some grit. So I think they'll be okay. They might struggle early season, but long term, those are the expectations, and I will be disappointed if they're not met. Lofty.
Yep.
And that is episode 45. Shot of MS on all social accounts. Evan's repping the merch, codesapparel.com, codesapparel.com for all of your Michigan clothing needs with area codes, no codes in them, just the state. Shot of Michigan Sports, the Woodshed merch. Now that they returned to the Woodshed against Maryland. Might want to buy that so it gets there in time for the Penn State game. They even have sweatshirts, yes, for when it's freezing that day. So all that, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, where to listen, like, rate, subscribe, review, follow, all that good stuff. Download the episode, share it with a friend, ask any questions, leave comments. That's pretty much it for episode 45. I'll cheers it out to episode 45 with my last sip. And my side cheers is to Butler basketball, alma mater, kicking off as well tomorrow night. Be grateful that you guys are on ESPN. Butler is on Fox Sports tip-off night, so they're just going to be cutting into games live through as the night goes on. So we'll see what I'm able to see of that game. They only won their exhibition game by 5 recently, so they'll finish top 4 in the Big East. That's my hot take for Butler basketball.
Cheers to college basketball starting. And still college football remains.
Happy Veterans Day on the Thursday, the 11th. Cheers to all the veterans out there.
Salute the troops.
Wow. Great call, Evan.